Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about Deadline by John Wayne Comunale. This is from AD4L Press. That's what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that very well. John Wayne Comunale. I think that's how you say his last name. So this book is about Cody Burns. Yes, I had to look out the back because I keep wanting to say Cody Banks, the Frankie Muniz kid spy movie. But it's Cody Burns. He's a voiceover artist, does audiobooks and things. And he's, at first, he loved this job. He could set his own hours, do his own thing. He was really good at it. But then he ended up getting an agent, and now he's unhappy because there's just pressure because, you know, he's got to be professional now. He's got to deal with an agent was real slick before he got Cody Burns to sign on, and then turns into an asshole because, you know, he's got a job to do. So when Cody Burns gets this message from somebody that offers a ton of money to narrate a book, and says that this person says that they will deal with any fallout from the agent that Cody already has, Cody signs on, but there are penalties if he misses the deadline, and this is a horror novel. So you know things are going to go crazy. That's kind of a big nutshell, but there you go. First of all, I want to say that I pre-ordered this directly from the author. I believe it was directly from the author, so it's signed and everything, but it came with goodies, as a lot of these things do. If you order directly from the publisher, from the author, you tend to get goodies, stickers, magnets, buttons and things. This had this little clear plastic skull with an X on it. But one of my favorite, this is just a little tiny goodie. I don't know why. I love this thing so much. We'll see how well it shows up. This little knife. Look at that. Oh, look at the shine, the reflection, the blood. It matches the cover so well. Yeah, I don't know. I just love this little tiny knife. It's awesome. I have it on a little shelf. It's got a little hole there for, I could put it on a string. Just wear my little tiny knife. That's neither here nor there. That has nothing to do with the book. So right off the bat, this book reminded me of, in my limited knowledge, reminded me of Bentley Little. Now, I've only read very few Bentley Little books, but it very much felt like those to me, but on a much smaller scale. Whereas the consultant deals with not just this company and all the people in the company, but it also kind of spreads out into the community a little bit, at least regarding one character. And the bank basically is this entire small town that's dealing with the bank. This is almost a single character in a single location. There are a few other characters. We have Cody Burns. We have his ex-girlfriend. He gets phone calls from his agent, and then we have his new agent. And I think that's and a delivery guy. And I think that's about it. And then, for the most part, it all takes place in Cody's home, mainly his office. There's one scene at a bar, and I think everything else takes place in his home, a little bit in his yard. And it only takes place over a few days. So it sort of takes that bigger Bentley Little thing and smushes it down. And this is very much, in my opinion, and maybe it's because I just read The Consultant recently, but it has that feel. Cody gets into this situation with this new agent that just spirals out of control and gets weirder and creepier and deadlier, and is just driving Cody Burns to the brink, trying to figure out how to survive, how to get out of this, how to deal with everything that's going on. And so it starts out, like I said, at first he thinks this is going to be great. He loves doing the voiceover stuff. And, but then he got stuck with this agent, the normal agent, but, it became more about 9-to-5 work kind of thing. Not specifically, but he still had greater responsibilities than when he was sort of freelancing it. And so he jumps at this chance. And it seems like this new guy, Garaville, I don't know how to pronounce the name. There's certainly something to it, because the last 4 letters of the name are Evil. But at first, this guy seems great. The money seems great, and Cody, who had left his car at the bar because he was too drunk last night to drive it home, so he took an Uber, and this new agent is like, we'll take care of the car for you. And boom, his car's towed back home. And then boom, the contracts show up. And then boom, Cody mentions that he broke his phone, and half an hour, I don't know, it's super quick, he's got a brand new phone. All of this being taken care of by this new agent, and he thinks it's fantastic. But then, of course, when Cody isn't perfect in doing his job, he finds out there are consequences. So this is really, it's fast-paced. Cody is a well-written character. I don't know how sympathetic he is at first. Pretty much anybody who's going to go through what Cody's going to end up going through. Spoilers for a horror novel. I think we're eventually going to start having some sympathy for him, but he's not necessarily sympathetic at first, and so there's a little bit of character growth. And I like the new agent. I like the way that he's written. I think his name kind of says it all. I like the twists and turns. I like the escalation. And not just in... See, I as always, trying to avoid spoiling things. And I don't know that this is going to be like really spoilery. But it's not just an escalation in like penalties. But there's an escalation in what Cody is expected to do. He's given, I think, his first assignment. I can't remember if it's just one chapter or if it's a few chapters. And it's like, here are the chapters. This is what the author expects. This is the deadline. And he's like, okay, they want him to use a metronome to make sure he's getting the beats right and everything. And then once he's done with that, immediately he gets the next batch of stuff. And it's like, okay, now here's the metronome. This is the beat that he wants. He wants this. He wants this voice modulator. Here are the apps you can download. But sort of what he's expected to do in shorter and shorter time periods is escalating. And then, of course, penalties are escalating. And it's really fun. I gave this 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. If you're a fan of Bentley Little, I absolutely think you're going to like this. I wouldn't compare the writing. of John Wayne Comunale and Bentley Little, just the sort of the gist of the story kind of thing. And again, this is from my very limited experience reading Bentley Little, but it's a lot of fun. It's gruesome at times, and it's funny at times, and it's exasperating at times. But the small amount of characters are interesting, and really our focus is on Cody Burns. And like I said, it only takes place over a day or two in this very limited location. And I like that isolation aspect to it. So yeah, I think that's it. Deadline by John Wayne Comunale. And I recommend it. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's a good read. And there you go. So, my question for this video about this 4-star, maybe even 4.5 book titled Deadline by John Wayne Comunale. My question is, how do you feel when you read something that strongly reminds you of a different author? Do you, if that other author is someone you like, are you happy to find someone that sort of falls into that category? And I'm not saying John Wayne Comunale is just a Bentley Little clone. In no way am I saying that. I have quite a few of his other books from Grindhouse Press that I haven't read yet. But I'm not saying he's a Bentley Little clone. I'm simply saying this book reminded me of some other Bentley Little books. But when you come across that, do you appreciate it? Do you think it's a ripoff? Do you think, that other author does it better, so I'll just read him? Just what are your feelings on this? I'm trying to think of any other examples. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know how many people watching this video have watched any of my Reading Remembrances videos, where I go over everything I've read since 1985. But I just recorded my video for September 1997, and one of the books I read was by a guy named Rick Hansen. And I said in that video that Rick Hansen feels like he's trying to be Carl Hiaasen. Carl Hiaasen wrote these quirky, funny crime thriller books. They're set in Florida, and they always have crazy characters, and they're very funny, despite the fact that, you're dealing with death and murder and kidnapping and all this crazy stuff. But the weird situations and the weird characters, they're very funny books. And Rick Hansen, basically, at least to me, felt like he was trying to do the same thing. I don't think he did it nearly as well as Carl Hiaasen. I did read 3 of the Rick Hansen books. I read many more than that of Carl Hiaasen. And I wasn't immediately like, this guy's just trying to rip off this other guy. I just didn't think his books, whether or not I was comparing them, they weren't as funny. They weren't as the writing didn't pull me in as much. I didn't care about the characters as much. That sounds like I'm still comparing them, but I don't think they were as good as Carl Hiaasen. Again, it's comparisons. So I didn't continue reading. I didn't read more Rick Hansen. I only read 2 or 3, as opposed to a whole bunch of Carl Hiaasen. But I wasn't put off because it wasn't Carl Hiaasen. Even if I'd never read Carl Hiaasen before, I think I would have just been like, these are mildly funny. The characters are mildly interesting. But what are your thoughts on this whole? Is this making sense? Finding an author that really reminds you of another author. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Does it not matter at all? What are your thoughts? Let's discuss it in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. That is all I have for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.